let's talk about rails to trails. Here in Kansas, we have at least three that I'm aware of, old railroad tracks that are no longer in use, that they have converted from railroad tracks over to pedestrian walk trails and biking and things like that. They cross the state in many different directions, and this one in particular was part of the Southern Kansas Railroad back in 1888, which then became a division of the Santa Fe Railroad. And you can see over my shoulder there the old Santa Fe caboose that used to be here, and I'm actually right next to the original depot. But the interesting part is they're converting these things everywhere, and this one runs right through our town. And it's quite worth the visit. They have turned the old depot into what is now a museum. And I've been inside. It's been a couple of years since I've been in here because I live here. I don't visit as often as I probably should. But I'm thinking today, me and the little guy, this will be his first visit. Let's take a peek. I've seen other rails to trail systems that aren't just pedestrian walking and bicycles. I've seen some in Nebraska. I haven't got to witness it personally, but online I've seen them where they actually make them into like small cars where you pedal, but they're still on the original rails. And some of the train trestles were restored or left in condition because they could handle pedestrians over large trains. That's something I'd like to see someday. Unfortunately, it's pretty flat here, and the only water crossings we have are pretty small. Some of these older depots were just monolithic in size because they were so popularly used, in the 18 and early 1900s before the automobile. Hold on. I'm being told to hurry. But this one here is kind of small. It probably wasn't used nearly as much, and this city has not really grown over the years. So I'm just glad it's still here. And it's a museum. It's got a train layout inside. We should check it out. So this briefly shows what it is we're looking at here. So we're up here in Ottawa, and the blue mark, if you can see it clearly, we got a pretty heavily glare, but follows all the way down through Princeton, Garnett, all the way down Colony, and goes down to Iola, Kansas, which is a pretty good distance drive. And we won't walk that today, because what I didn't know after all these years of even living here myself is that apparently it requires a permit. I don't, it probably has a, oh here we go, right here. So a day use permit is, well, it's $3.50 for a day use on this particular trail, but it's outside of city limits. So as long as you're in the city of Ottawa, Iola, Princeton, they list them off, Garnett, any of those, you don't have to pay the fee, and it only applies to those of whom are over the age of 16. Maybe Wesley won't have to pay, but I would. But the city of Ottawa is at least 5 miles probably from one end to the other. We won't go that far today. He'll tolerate this for a little while the sun's in his face. But it's interesting to note they fund it with $3.50 per person at a time, and I'm sure there's a little bit of tax breaks and other information in there that they can get. But yeah, if your city's thinking about it, I think it's worth it. You can go a long ways. There's another trail. This is the Spirit Trail, as they call it. And then there's the Flint Hills Trail, which from where I am standing is just on the other side of this here bridge. And you get on that one, now it starts all the way out in Paola, or maybe it's Osawatomie. It starts in Osawatomie and then goes clear out to the middle of Kansas and beyond. I think they're still working on it yet today. And again, that's just another conversion of rail to trails. And I know a lot of people who have walked on them, hiked on them, and camped on them. Maybe one day I need to go for a walk on them. Here, this old train bridge This is one of the original train bridges. It doesn't have a date on here, so it's hard to tell how old it is, but they pretty much safeguarded it to keep you from getting down in here. And this crosses over the Meridicine River that comes out of, it either comes out of Clinton, which is in Lawrence, or it's maybe from Pomona. I'm pretty sure this is coming out of Lawrence. And this little river flooded so big in the early 1950s that it wiped out this whole side of the entire city. Over here on the other side of that rock berm used to be a horse racing track. Today it is known as Forest Park, and it is where a ton of events are held each year, from the Old Maris River Run car show and the old time tractor show that's held there, and then various other things for kids from churches and things like that. My children love it the most because it has like 9 small playgrounds throughout it. It's a 3/4 mile lap around its roadway. Alright, so I don't walk on this enough to actually notice it, but so this is the 1/4 mile connector to the Flint Hills Nature Trail, which is the other track. And you know, I'm not 100% sure what railway they belong to, but it goes straight down here through the front yards of people's houses, underneath the highway, and then connects up with the old rail tracks. That one's a lot cooler trail because it goes over lots of big water and has many bridges that are really exciting. So this little bit that you see behind me here, this is the part where it connects with the actual city. Just off to my right over here, that is the back side of the original square. We're the county seat, so the tallest building happens to be the courthouse that's over there today. And this is just 1 block over from that, which means the train track ran right behind the entire city. What I found interesting myself is that they built the depot on the other side of the river, and if I remember, they didn't have the greatest access except for this train bridge. So my guess would be is they used to walk across this train bridge every day to get to the actual depot. But it's a good little town. There's a lot to learn here. So let's get headed back. We're gonna head on back over to the depot and maybe see what else is going on in town here today. Hopefully you guys like the whole rail to trail idea. I thought it was one of the best things they did here, and even though I haven't personally partaken in it, many people do. In fact, since I started on this trail, I've passed probably 20 different people walking on it, and it's probably just a good place to get exercise. It's well lit both during the day and at night. They've got LED lighting up and down this thing all the way through the city. It has multiple restroom stops and different parks for kids to stop and play at. So it definitely gets traveled and used on a regular basis. You like that truck? So what's your guys' Rails to Trails experience? Do you have this in your city, state? You know, if they're thinking about doing something like this with the old railroad tracks that have been abandoned in your area, or are they just letting them grow over and farmers taking over and recycling all the steel? I think it's a great idea. I don't know about you all, but comment below, let me know. Is this the kind of thing you're into? Do you wish your city would do it? Maybe they need a peek at some of these interesting ideas that all the different cities are doing. But I appreciate you all being here. If you get a chance, like and subscribe to my channel, please. Ring that bell. I'd love to have all you here again. And we're gonna see more things. We're just starting out today right here, but I happen to be right in the center of a lot of history in this area, and there's a lot of events going on. October's huge this time of year, not only for the events citywide or statewide, but also birthdays. I got mine coming up. Both my older kids, my parents, my wife's parents, and her sister all share this beautiful month. Something to do with, I don't know, Valentine's Day, I think, back in February maybe. So guys, like, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. We'll see you tomorrow.